You got to learn how to recognize that, see, everybody is not alike in my team. You can't use the exact same principle that you use for one person, for the next, and for everybody. It might build A but destroy B. Especially when it comes to feedback and criticism, you must learn to make it very tailor-made. You call people to your office, you speak to them, you acknowledge the areas of their competence and strength that is great and that needs to be admired and commended, but you also make it clear the areas they need to improve on. If people can confirm that you really love them, most likely they would accept the criticism and the feedbacks that you give to them. So you can't just be someone who doesn't show up in a person's life to give love, but suddenly every time it is time to give feedbacks and criticisms, you show up, and you show up with your A game. There is something hypocritical about that. Hello there, my name is Dami Oguntunde. You're welcome to the Faith and Culture Podcast. For some weeks now, we've been exploring leadership, and I've been sharing a number of insights, drawing wisdom from God's Word. But of course, many of these insights are applicable beyond the four walls of the church. Today, I'll be talking about what I've titled the truth-love tension. The truth-love tension. Now, for anyone who has been in any leadership position for any length of time, one of the things you'll be faced with is the need to confront bad behavior in the people that you lead, whilst also emphasizing the fact that you actually care about them, you love them. And this is one of the greatest fears that a lot of people have in leadership positions. How do I confront people? I mean, I'm a very conservative person. I'm not confrontational. I don't want anybody to think I'm a bad person. And this is a very major challenge that a lot of leaders experience in their leadership journey and experience. Now, the first thing I'd like to say is the Bible actually teaches a balance between truth and love. And what usually happens is when your orientation growing up is biased towards truth, you tend to lack a bit of love in the way you communicate the truth. Because perhaps you grew up in an household or a household where, people just told you the truth, whether it was nicely said or not, it didn't matter, and they told you to toughen up if you started maybe, the crying for nothing, or because you heard something that was not really nice. Because we're trying to toughen you up for an outside world that may not be as kind to you, especially when they're giving you very strong feedbacks. And so you learned the hard way to always pass your points across without really paying attention to how anyone felt in the moment. And so for you, truth above love at all times, because how I can love you is by telling you the truth after all, right? Now, if you are of the other orientation where love for you is so important, how that the way something is said matters, perhaps even more than what is said, the way it's said, the way it's presented, the attitude with which it is spoken, the place it's spoken, not in front of your friends, not in front of people that can, shame you and embarrass you, the way it's done matters a lot to you. And so for someone like that, if you're in a leadership position, you sometimes can get crippled by the fact that you want people to still feel good, even when you have something really important to share with them, which might not be palatable as a feedback. And so you are caught in that dilemma. For some people, they have no problem sharing the truth with you, not caring about how you feel about them because they are truth biased. Some other people are love biased, so love biased that they will not even sometimes tell you the truth. They will sometimes sacrifice truth so that they can stay in your good books, because they are trying to be liked by you, because they would always err on the side of love. Now, what I found out is that scriptures did not necessarily teach one in absolute exclusion of the other. That means what the Bible teaches is to teach or to speak the truth in love. That means the Bible never expects for truth to travel without love, and it does not expect love to travel without truth, because love that is not truthful is not really love at the end of the day. Imagine I'm whining you and I'm just a flatterer, and I'm telling you all the things about you that are actually not true, simply because I want you to like me and I want you to feel good about yourself. That will not be love. That will be me flattering you. And the Bible makes it very clear that God doesn't have very kind words for a flatterer, especially when you read the books of Proverbs. So my point here is this, that you can't really effectively love without the truth. It's very difficult. You literally cannot. You can't love someone. You can't say you love someone and you deny them access to the truth, to actual objective feedback and truth. But in the same vein, you can't say, oh well, all that matters is the truth, and you care nothing about the potential of the person receiving it. So because the truth is all that matters, you then say the truth anyhow. You shout, you scream, you berate people, you embarrass them, you talk them down, you literally destroy their self-image and their reputation in the process simply because you are telling them the truth. Now you have destroyed their reputation. How much love will the person feel like you love them, even though you were quote unquote telling them the truth? And so how you display, communicate the truth actually matters a lot. In fact, the truth stands a higher chance of being received as truth if it is accompanied with love. That means truth becomes less truth if there is no love. Love becomes less love if there is no truth. That really means that without love, you can't really say the truth effectively. And without the truth, you can't really love effectively. I'm saying all of this to say that as a leader, one of the things you would have to confront is the reality of confrontation. The fact that you would have to be the kind of person that can talk to people and tell them, this is something you did that I do not like. This is something you did that is wrong. This is something you said you did that is wrong and needs to be reprimanded. And you are able to reprimand people because you're a leader. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest reasons for leadership is correction. Because if there is no leader to correct, every other thing that someone else can do, somebody else can do it. But when it comes to correction, it's very difficult for a colleague to receive correction from another colleague because, who are you to correct me? Who are you to tell me that is not how to get things done? And so at the end of the day, you realize that we can literally isolate the bulk of the work that a leader ought to do to correcting people that are under his leadership. You must be able to do that. However, how you do that also matters. You don't want to do that by crushing people's spirits and destroying their self-confidence, because it then makes it even less likely that they're going to be able to take into consideration what you have corrected them. Imagine you're making somebody worse off by giving them corrections because you destroy their self-confidence, thereby making it even less likely that they're going to be able to even effect that feedback. Because without your confidence, what else do you really have after all? I've once had an experience where one of my staff colleagues at the time wanted to leave the organization, and the reason why she wanted to leave the organization was because of the words of one of our line managers, what he had said to her. This was several years ago. And she said she was going to leave, that she can't be disrespected like this, that she feels very belittled, very undermined, very insulted. And I encouraged her and, did what I could to make her feel better and all that. Eventually, she became one of the best hands in that organization. And as a matter of fact, she served in that same organization for maybe 4 or 5 years and still counting. Somebody that could have left after 3 months or about 6 months max, because I think it was about 6 months into, or less than 6 months into her stay, she was already contemplating leaving. And that same person has stayed 4 years and has become one of the best hands in that organization. Now, was the person who was giving her feedback telling a lie? Not likely. The person was actually very, honest with his feedback. Only that he added other things that were not very loving. He added name calling and just berating and actively, almost literally destroying her self-esteem, making her feel useless. When you talk to someone in a way that the person feels useless. That was exactly how she began to feel, and she was like, my mental health is at risk in this organization and I need to leave. Eventually, she stayed, and like I said, she's been a great addition to the team ever since. Now, what I want to bring up from there is that truth was said, but love was absent, and therefore it was going to do a lot more damage than how she was before the truth, quote unquote, showed up. And what kind of truth is that hurts, that injures, that berates, that destroys? That's not what truth does. Truth liberates. Truth makes free. Truth makes people feel confident because they are saying the truth. They are receiving the truth. They know the truth. Now, if you're saying the truth and you eliminate all the love, you are literally squeezing the juice out of the orange. You are making that truth lifeless. You are making that truth unable to edify, unable to build, unable to exhort, unable to make better. What really, really makes people better is the love that is included in the truth, not just the truth and the love with which it is spoken. And so you must not be the kind of leader that errs on the side of truth alone with no reference to love. And you must also not be the kind of leader that only wants to love and never wants to be able to tell people the truth, because you will both do just as much damage. Look at Rehoboam. Rehoboam went to the older men that had served with his father and asked them for advice as he began his reign as the king of Israel. And they told him, speak nicely to God's people, be kind, be empathetic, sacrifice for them, don't be harsh, don't be brute, don't just have sense in a nutshell. And he said, this advice doesn't make sense, please. Let me go to my friends, let me go to my colleagues, let me go to people that I grew up with. And remember, he was a spoiled child. Solomon barely even had time for his wives, much less a child of his. So this guy was probably not paid attention to. Imagine the wisest man gave birth to one of the most foolish kings that ever lived. It was because of him that Israel was broken into two factions, all right? And it was because instead of receiving the counsel from the older men that had worked with his father and perhaps his grandfather, he now went to the vain and average mediocre men that he had grown up with, and he asked them for counsel. And they told him, threaten the people, threaten them, speak harshly to them, threaten them and tell them that whatever your father did was small. What you are going to do is going to be far worse than whatever your father did. Make them fear you so that your kingship will be solid. The elders looked at themselves after this guy spoke and they said, to your tent, O Israel. And from there on, Israel broke into two factions. Because a child will not receive counsel, and a man will not know how, he doesn't know how to speak truth with love. You can speak truth, right? And speak it without being too sentimental. But there has to be elements of respect, love, and dignity in how you say it. This guy insulted all the elders, insulted the people of Israel, insulted the people that quote unquote put him in power. Come on, you don't do that and expect people to just serve you like that. People have dignity. Some people would rather die than say sorry to someone that is not deserving of it. Look at Mordecai, for example. He will not bend his head for Haman. There's just nothing you can do about it. You'd rather kill me. I'm not going to bend for you. You don't deserve it. You're a wicked and corrupt person. I don't care for your money or your status. I don't care for all of that. If you are not a person of integrity, I don't respect you. And Mordecai stood his ground until Providence spoke on his behalf. My point is, you can always stand by the truth and do it with love. This Rehoboam guy, he was not even saying the truth to start with, and he did it with recklessness that lacked love and empathy. And because of that, he lost the kingdom over which, the same kingdom that Solomon, his father, had handed over to him. A kingdom where there was no fight for the entire reign of Solomon. Within the first few months of Rehoboam, the thing was already split because the man lacked wisdom and he was not a good leader. He didn't know how to speak truth with love. All right, every leader must learn this act, and it's a tact. It's a kind of tact. You've got to learn it. You've got to learn how to recognize that, see, everybody is not alike in my team. You can't use the exact same principle that you use for one person for the next and for everybody. It might build A but destroy B. And so you must learn, especially when it comes to feedback and criticism, you must learn to make it very tailor-made. You call people to your office, you speak to them, you acknowledge the areas of their competence and strength that is great and that needs to be admired and commended, but you also make it clear the areas they need to improve on. And the consequences of not growing in that area, you paint a picture for them. You give them examples, you share your own stories as well. Then they realize that you actually care about their career development, you care about their growth, you care about their spiritual growth and maturity. And those things help people recognize that this person actually loves me. He's telling me the truth. If they cannot affirm your love, they're likely going to reject your truth. If people can confirm that you really love them, most likely they would accept the criticism and the feedbacks that you give to them. So you can't just be someone who doesn't show up in a person's life to give love, but suddenly every time it is time to give feedbacks and criticisms, you show up and you show up with your A game. There is something hypocritical about that. When they do well, you don't say anything right about them. When they do great things, you don't acknowledge it, you don't commend them, you don't give them credit. But when they do any little thing to just drop the ball a little, you are there on their neck, saying all kinds of things and berating them, making them look stupid and feel silly. That's not how to be a leader. A leader must learn how to balance truth with love. Truth means you are objective, you're able to give feedback in an objective way, you're not being sentimental, you're not changing things, you're not becoming flattering just because you don't want people to think you're a bad boss. You're telling them exactly what is and how things ought to be. But you also are communicating with so much empathy and so much respect for their dignity. I hope you've learned something very important today as a leader. Learn to speak the truth in love. And thereby you edify, you build, you strengthen, and you improve the people that you have been called to lead. God bless your heart. I hope you found this helpful and resourceful. Share with your friends. You can put your comments in the chat room right there or in the comment section. If you have a question, you can also put it there, and I'll hopefully, respond in my subsequent episodes. God bless your heart. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.